Hey, how
Hi.
are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited to talk with you. Um, I was just saying I was gonna do a little bit of an intro before you joined, but you can
Oh,
join me for it. I'm just gonna
sorry.
no, no, no. I'm just gonna brag about you and introduce you. So
Perfect. Thank you so
first,
much.
but I've been doing this podcast for over 3.5 years now. So this show is an opportunity for me to learn about all of the exciting things that my guests have done over the past few years. And this is crazy, but you were a guest back in November of 2021, which is insane. I think you were episode 74 of the
Wow.
podcast, if I have my details correct. Crazy. Um, I think the best way to describe my guest today, welcome Seika, but I think the best way to describe you is global mental health researcher. That's what I'm going to go with, but we're going to go so much deeper. And I know in so many of other things. So I'm really excited to talk with you, especially about all of the things that you've been doing lately, because I know there's a lot of them. So
Yeah.
before we get started, how are you today? How is everything?
I'm good. Today honestly feels like Friday for me. I'm really lucky. I'm in my spring semester of my senior year in college right now. I have no classes on Fridays, so at like noon I'm done. So I'm feeling good, tired, restful. I'm looking forward to the weekend, so feeling good.
All of the what's next and everything. So I'll try to avoid some of those because I know they're kind of scary. um, but that's exciting. So I would love to start off with a quick introduction as to just who you are, kind of what you did on the podcast. Give me a quick overview about who you are, the work that you're doing. Of course, I know who you are, and I've done a little bit of stalking, so I know a little bit about what you've been up to. But give me a quick intro, and then we'll go deeper from there.
Perfect. Yeah. So, my name is Seika Brown, as you mentioned. I'm a global mental health researcher. I mainly look at the cultural intersections between mental health, and I find that really passionate. I'm half Japanese, I'm half American, and so I just feel like, in my experience with my mom growing up, I just found culture to be super important, especially when we talk about mental health. But kind of like you said, research is a really kind word that I usually use, because I do a lot of different work from programming to just overall activism and advocating for mental health. I work with a lot of organizations and institutions on mental health research or youth development programs or implementing youth involvement. As I get older, I'm super passionate about bringing more young people into the spaces. I mean, I'm 22, so obviously it's not old, but I was involved in this space at 15, and
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see younger kids, get the same opportunities that I've received. So that's kind of been what I've been doing. And then, yeah, just I love talking about mental health. I think it's important and it's everywhere.
Definitely. So since we last spoke, of course, back in 2021, so I'm sure there's so much that has on since then. But tell me about some of the highlights of the past couple of years for you. Of course, I think college is such an exciting time, and having just graduated in the spring
Hmm.
in 2023, I think now I'm still in grad school, so I'm still a student. But I think there's so many opportunities to do really cool things in college, and I know that you did a bunch of them. So I would love for you to tell me about what the last couple of years have been like and just give me some of the highlights. I know that's a huge question.
No, that's
So
that's great. I think that's like a perfect question because I think honestly, when we first talked back, I guess
mhm.
you said in 2021, which is
Yeah,
crazy because
crazy.
it honestly feels like yesterday. Um, I've been doing a lot of global things. I run still a private research initiative that looks at how mental health is defined across cultures, and that's still something I do. But I think as I approached like my junior year last year, I was like, I really haven't been too involved on my campus. And I think that was something I was like, oh, I really want to make sure I'm giving back to the community that I'm participating in. So I've been doing a lot of work, I think, also on my campus in just terms of normal advocacy. But the lens that I've been doing that through was mainly the Rare Beauties Rare Ambassador Impact Program, which was a really cool opportunity. I got connected with a bunch of other mental health advocates that I've known of over the years, but
Hmm.
never really had the chance to like meet them. And it was through that program I think I was able to build a lot of really cool relationships where, being a student doing kind of like activism, but especially in the mental health field, it's very hard and there's not a lot of people out there that really understands, the experiences that you feel. but everyone from the master program, I think we related to each other, and I made some really great friends. But it was with them, and we were able to host like I think two on-campus like resource fairs where we're like able to give out all the resources around mental health onto our campus. But also, I've been doing a lot of work still globally. We finished collecting all the research and doing all the data for a global study on the political economy of adolescent mental health, and that was with a that's with a medical university based in Sweden. And now we're kind of like editing the manuscript, and within the next year it should get published. So I'm sure when we talked back in 2021, I was like, oh, like this research is happening, but now it's done, which is absolutely crazy. And then kind of wrapping up that rare beauty impact program my junior year. Beginning of my senior year this year, I was able to join on their board as an alumni, where I helped run a podcast for them actually, and then did a lot of other work kind of doing a national college mental health day, which we held last May. And then, and I guess back in October, I was flown out to LA to meet Selena Gomez and kind of attend this rare beauty impact event, which is still a crazy thing to say. But that was a really cool thing, because I think if we talked November of 2021, I don't remember, that would be just a few months after I won the Mental Health America's Empower Award. So that was that. So it's been a busy few years, but it's been good.
Yeah, that's so exciting. How was meeting Selena Gomez? How was that whole experience? Tell me about that.
It was good. It was honestly really funny because it was a quick turnaround. I think first it was really sweet. My mom was actually able to meet me in LA right before she was able to move back to Japan. So she stayed in the hotel with me, and we enjoyed all their amenities. Like, it was really sweet just to have her there. But also it was really cool. As I was mentioning, I built some friendships through the Rare Impact program. I was able to meet now someone I consider a good friend, Adia, in person, which was really amazing because I love her, and it was just so much fun to like actually hang out with her. We spent the whole day together, but it was a quick turnaround because I flew, I think, like on a Tuesday, and then the event was on a Wednesday or whatever. And I came back, and that morning back in New York, I had an exam at like 8 a.m. that I landed at like midnight. And then the next day I like woke up and I was doing an exam, and I was like, this is way too much for me because I'm still a student. So it was like so weird. And everyone's like, where were you? And I was like, don't worry about it. But yeah, it was great. It's just like, I think that's been the main thing is like, I think recently I'm like, oh wow, like I'm still a student as I do all this work. And so still balancing that's difficult, but meeting Selena was great. She was super fun.
That's so cool.
And she was really kind and really just was like a normal person and talked mental health. So I think that was really great. And overall it was an amazing experience. So I'm really honored.
That's so cool. So you're touching on another question that I had for you, which is perfect. But tell me a little bit about how the past couple of years have been balancing school and activism. Of course, I mean, I think that's kind of the quintessential question when I ask young change makers, just how do you do all of it? Can you tell me about that? How it's been, maybe if there's been challenges, kind of how you've overcame those. Tell me a little bit about that for you.
Yeah, I think also, so I mean, I go to Cornell. And when I came out from high school, I actually was a really bad student. I had like a 2.6 GPA. I failed like multiple classes in high school, and Cornell admitted me based on my mental health work, which I was grateful for. But another thing that Cornell did was kind of equip me with like studying habits, etc. But that does not mean I was a good student. And like, truth be told, I really did struggle, I think, in the first few years here, just because I didn't feel up to speed. I didn't know how to read the textbooks the same way my peers did. I didn't know how to have the discussions that they had. And even though I was well equipped in the mental health realm, it's very different, like in academia. And so I think, I had struggles. Like even last spring, I ended up dropping a class just because it was way too difficult for me. And I think that honesty is really important. I know a lot of people, like, I like to say like I have everything well balanced, but we're human and in college, and I think it's natural not to. But I've been able to learn, and I think that's been like the beauty of it. Like, I think over time I've become a better student. Like, I definitely got into the habit of like skipping classes for like meetings, and then I was like, okay, I need to learn how to like make meetings, be at a different time than my classes. I can't really, it felt like a good excuse for a little bit, but I think, exactly. I had to learn and to enjoy like being a student at the same time I enjoy doing my mental health work, because I think enjoying what you were able to do is really, really important. And I think that's helped me find the ability to go out and study together with my friends, or just take classes with one another. And I think that was really special. to just like go on a little coffee dates where we just like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
study and hang out. So I think learning to enjoy it and finding community within it has been a blessing, and that's what really has helped me be a better like student and balancing it. But at the same time, like, you know, knowing that I'm at this institution because of the work that I find passionate about, and I don't have to sacrifice it in order to do well here. So I think I've by my, you know, my last semester here, I'm like, okay, I got a better grasp on it now.
Yeah, definitely. So tell me, just remind me, what is the actual program or what's the major that you are pursuing right now?
Yes, everyone always asks why I
Okay.
chose this major, just as a heads up, but I am an urban and I'm an urban and regional studies major,
Okay. Okay.
and a minor in anthropology. So it's kind of like city planning, to say the best.
Okay.
I'm in the architecture school, but I'm not an
Interesting.
architect.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Everyone's like, why that? And I think just to quickly answer that question is that it kind of allows me to have the intersections of like, okay, how do our cities impact public health, access to
Hmm.
public health care, access to mental health resources? How do our cities like influence our well-being, and like, you know, are they just bleak and boring, or are there activities, are there places where children can go to like
Hmm.
go have fun and like exercise and relax? Like those amenities are extremely important, and that's where the cultural aspect of my interest like lays, is like, okay, what are these cultural facilities that are important in our cities that promote mental health, physical health, and overall well-being? So
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
generalized statement.
No, that makes sense. That was gonna be my next question because I was wondering just, I think a lot of times for activists, it's difficult to find a balance between school and the work that they're doing when maybe they don't intersect that much. But
Mm-hmm.
I think kind of the key is figuring out how they can, or finding kind of a niche where you can intersect them, because then it doesn't feel like you're doing this one and then this one. It feels like you can
Right.
kind of combine them a little bit. For me, that's
Yeah.
definitely been like doing my journalism work was it tied in very well with all of
Yeah,
this and the
that's
storytelling
true. That makes
aspect.
sense.
So
Hmm.
that really helped. But that's so interesting. I didn't know that. I was expecting
Like
something else,
like
but
psychology. Yeah.
architecture, yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
know.
so
I think,
cool.
well, it's difficult because like as much as I would love to have been like a psych major or whatever, the college requirements here is where things become really
Mhm.
difficult. Like to be a psych major at Cornell, you have to be in a college that requires you to do a language, which I just don't have the time on my plate because that's a 5 day, you know, that class meets 5 days a week for like an hour,
Mhm.
over an hour or so.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't really have that in my
Yeah.
availability. Some colleges require you to take high level courses like chemistry or physics or calculus, which is
Mhm.
way out of my expertise and honestly would take up too much time. So I was really lucky to be in at the college I'm at in Cornell, because they are so flexible and understanding of all the work that I
Mhm.
have, and they really do support me and recommend courses for me to take that they think is going to be beneficial to my interest. And so I'm really lucky. It's a small college, but it's a big blessing to be part of it.
Yeah, that's so exciting. So I am going to ask a little bit of the dreaded question, but you can take it however you want. So, what is coming in the future for you? Do you have plans for more projects? Do you have plans to develop your projects? I don't want to go in the big career route if you don't want to, but tell me what some of your plans are down the line.
Yeah, well, I'm actually every year I feel like I do something for Mental Health Month, and just to like tease it, I think this year what I'm doing, kind of as I'm learning to share research, I'll be doing a little weekly thing where I'm asking all the researchers that I know of in the mental health field is like, okay, what is some research that the average person should know, and then
Ooh,
kind of doing like an Instagram reel or a TikTok, kind of explaining the research and why it's beneficial to people. So
that's
that's
so
kind of
cool.
that's a project that's coming up that I've been working on. But also, I applied to grad school
Okay.
for a master's in public health with mental health concentrations. Actually, I'm applied to 4 schools in
Okay.
Boston, and 2 schools in Chicago. And it's really mainly to just continue the mental health work that I'm doing. I'm actually, I think part of your work has inspired me. Like, I think I'm big on storytelling now,
Mhm.
and the importance of using that as an avenue to share mental health and to share these stories. And I was always passionate about hearing and sharing the stories of all these interviews that I've collected over the past 4 years. And now that I have like this, you know, honestly database of over like 20 stories from different countries and different people from across the world, I'm like, how do I share them? And how do I
Yeah.
get these people connected to the spaces that they want to get connected to? So I've been working with some other organizations on connecting these, you know, international activists from different countries to spaces like in the UN and the WHO, which oftentimes favor, you know, Western students or Western scholars, where I'm like, you know, these people are doing great work. They might not go to the same high level institution as, you know, people in the West do, but they're extremely talented and valuable people. And so I've been doing a lot of work with that. So I think I'm going to be continuing down that pathway, and looking at like exploring that in grad school, but also just in other projects and relationships.
That's so exciting. And yeah, I love to hear that. I think it's so important to be able to share stories. You can hear them, and it's great to listen and to show people that you care. But then I think it's also so important if they're welcome,
Yeah.
if they're interested in, having other people share. That's so important. And I think especially with mental health, because fortunately there are so many stigmas, which I don't have to tell you. This is your research. But I think it also is such an interesting idea, the asking researchers what everyone should know, because that's been my gripe with my graduate school program so far, is that I think so much research. I'm doing digital media and society, so very different, but lots of stuff about AI and emerging technologies, where it's just like so much of the time I spend in lectures just like banging my head up against the wall, just thinking like, people need to know this, but I'm learning this and I want other people to know this.
Exactly.
So I think that's really important to be able to translate that information and make it more accessible. I think that's awesome. So when will you find out about the next steps? Is that
actually soon?
In the next couple months? Okay.
Sometime anywhere between now 2 weeks to 4 weeks, I'll start hearing back with replies. And then at the same time, if I don't get in, I'm not too stressed. If I don't get in, I don't get in. I'll apply to I've been applying to some working jobs as well. But yeah, so it's coming up, because the deadline was the beginning of January. And so they were like 4 to 6 weeks then. And so now we're approaching the response time. So I'll hear back soon. So yeah.
Sending you good vibes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's good. Yeah. Getting everyone that's listening, everyone send good vibes next couple weeks.
Please.
So I asked the same question. This is the signature question back in 2021. I have to stop saying that. It's like freaking myself out.
Yeah, I know. That's wild.
But lots of young people want to create change, want to make a difference, but they may not know how to get started with that work. What advice do you have for those people that may be watching us, that may be listening to us later? What advice would you want to share with them?
I would always say, like, start with your community. And I think that's why I had a reflection last year where I was like, I want to go back to my college campus, was because everyone's like, oh, I want to go out and like change the world. And like, yes, absolutely do that. But like, change the world of the people around you, right? Change and impact those lives of the people around you, whether it be your family or your friends or your high school or your schools or communities or youth groups, etc. Like, those are the people that you can reach, and only you can reach, right? Like, you can go out, and I said this back when I like passed this bill back in Washington State when I was in high school, like, you can pass a bill, but honestly, the most tangible and impactful change is when you like genuinely go out and like impact someone's life one-on-one, and building those relationships are extremely important. Like, if you want to go out there and help people and help the world, like, help the people around you. What are your community needs? And then as you are able to engage with the community and assist them, you're able to really uplift other people. And then I think that's exactly the trajectory that I went down. I started with my high school, I started with my community, and then it exploded in ways that I never could have imagined. And I honestly didn't think I was going to do mental health forever, and I love it, and I'm really grateful. But yeah, if you want to go out and make change, you got to look at the people around you, look at your communities around you. Like, you're the person that they need, and go serve them, I think, is the best thing I would say.
Definitely. Can you tell me a little bit more about what some of the changes or some of the needs that you've seen on your campus? Just because I'm thinking it might inspire other people to kind of go out onto their own and maybe look at those things a little bit more. But can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one, mental health is huge, especially on Cornell's campus. I think we're honestly at unfortunately ranking high in terms of like, one of the highest suicide rates in colleges and universities across the United States. We have multiple suicide attempts a year, and it's just a thing everyone gets used to, like, oh, it's another email. I even lost a friend to suicide back in my sophomore year. Here at Cornell. And so it's a huge issue, and which is why we did like a resource fair. It's like, okay, these resources exist, but there is an issue in communication, which is often true for any like major university, they have mental health resources, but do students know about them is the biggest question. And so the next question is like, how do you communicate those resources? And so we kind of did like a marketing campaign where we went out and we were like, okay, like come to this day. And then we kind of gave out free products or got hot chocolate and gave it to them and let them like learn about other mental health resources on this campus. And I think that's like something that people are able to do, and it's pretty tangible. It's like getting connected with those clubs that are in your campus that have resources, get to know, the mental health resources, you have the hotlines, etc. And then, do a little fair, take over a part on your college's quad or something, or in a building, and be like, these are the resources, and hand them out. I think is a very tangible thing to do. But and it doesn't have to be just mental health based. Like I know there's been things that we've been doing where it's like giving out hot chocolate on days where there's big exams, and like talking to students and like uplifting their spirits. Like that's something that's short and simple and sweet that people can do. And so I think what I'll say is also like you can make a Google form and post a QR code across your campus and be like, hey, like what are issues that you see on campus right now? And you can get responses, and you could be like, okay, this is a common theme. How do we address that theme? Those are kind of templates I think I've used in the past. Not just within my college campus, but also just in my community. I went to coffee shops, etc. back in high school and did that exact same thing. So there's lots of ways to do it, and there's so much freedom in it. And just you can be a little bit creative and explore ways to get out to people.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, and that person to person connection is so important. What are the best ways for people to connect with you and to follow along with you and to support the work that you're doing?
Yeah, well, Instagram here is perfect. I'm honestly more active on Instagram than I am on other forms of social media. I tried TikTok like a little bit ago, but then like I don't know. I think I'm an Instagram fan all the way. So, but yeah, I think you can follow work on my Instagram. I also have a listserv on my website at just seikabrown.com. And then I feel like I'm pretty vocal. I also have a Twitter that I post sometimes, but in terms of my projects and my work, I think Instagram's the best.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel the same about TikTok. I think that it overwhelmed me, and I think there wasn't enough I need kind of multiple options, and there wasn't enough structure for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I was like, this is exciting. I'm not like that creative. Like I like the structure that Instagram offers me.
Yeah. Even going back and being able to edit it and stuff, I need that.
Same. Oh my
need to have
goodness,
it all
that was amazing.
Know that it's not final.
Yeah.
To be able to go back and change it.
No, it's perfect.
The amount of times that I've deleted things from TikTok because there was one misspelling or something, it drives me nuts. So I'm
exactly. I'm like, oh, I need to go back and edit this. Yeah.
It's so annoying. But thank you so much for talking with me. This was so fun. Such a good catch up, and I'll have to have you back on here, and you can give everybody an update on what's coming next at some
Absolutely,
point.
Yeah. Give me 2 to 4 weeks when I get here back from people.
Sending all of the good vibes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, this was amazing.
Of course. I'll do a little closeout just in case anybody wants to talk to me about anything I mentioned. Please reach out to me by email at lily@bethechangepodcast.org or on Instagram at bethechangepodcast. And tune in to listen to this week's Be the Change on Air show tomorrow on the Be the Change podcast feed. And this one's going to be posted as well on there. So until then, be the change you wish to see in the world. Bye, guys. And thank you so much again for coming on. This was so much fun.
It was great seeing you. Good luck on your work. You've been doing amazing stuff. So I'm super happy to come here. Thank you.
Same to you. Sending all the good vibes.
Perfect. You as well. All right. Have a good day.
See ya. Bye.